Hello, my chicklets. Thank you for stopping by. Today is the final installment, for now, of our Flip the Script series. This one is called Time Loops for the Force of Good. I do hope y'all enjoy it. Let's go ahead and jump in. This was hell. Literal, actual hell. Patton looked at the bus in front of him, Remus holding out his hand. He had been here. He had already been in this exact spot, doing this exact thing. If it had just happened once, he might have thought it was some weird déjà vu coincidence. Even on the second time, Patton tried to convince himself it was a dream, but now, on the fifth time, he knew he was in a loop. He fought back the tears of frustration. He didn't know what had happened, or how he had gotten here. He was supposed to be going on a nice, simple date with Remus. No powers, no mayhem. But every time they got to the aquarium, they reset here. There was no rhyme or reason. Patton was sure he hadn't pissed off anyone with time warping powers recently. "Hey, Lil P, you okay?" Remus asked, gently putting a hand on his shoulder, gently rubbing away the tension. I think I'm stuck in a time loop." Remus would believe him, right? Remus wouldn't just brush off the idea as Patton being silly. They were both powered. They knew that these things could happen. "Really?" he asked. "For how long? Are you okay? Do you know what's causing it?" His voice lowered, and he was immediately in protective mode. Patton realized, of course Remus would take him seriously. "It's only been 5 times. I'm okay, but every time we get to the aquarium, something fishy happens." He gave Remus a weak smile, and Remus smiled back. He knew puns were one of Patton's defense mechanisms. "I don't know why it's happening." His boyfriend nodded. "Okay, Cuttlefish, let's start with not getting on the bus. We'll figure things out, I promise." "But why am I the only one remembering? Remus, I don't like this." He practically whined, and Remus pulled him into his arms. "I know, it sucks, but I got you, and we'll figure this out. I'll always believe you." 3 more time loops and nothing had changed. They still reset after half an hour, and Patton's nerves were running thin. "Can we just go home?" he asked quietly. "Of course, Cuttlefish." That hurt. Remus never used the same nickname twice in the same day, but he had heard Cuttlefish so many times now. They walked in silence, Patton clinging to Remus with his head down until a force ran directly into his ribcage. "Patton, I'm stuck in a time loop." Patton looked at the man and saw Virgil, eyes frantic and hands shaking. I think it's my fault, but I don't know how. That's not my power. But I just keep thinking about something. And before I knew it, the time had reset on the clock. Patton, I'm sorry. I don't know how to stop this." Patton looked to Remus and then looked to Virgil and swept his best friend up in his arms. "It's okay, V. I'm here to help. Do you think calming you would help, or what would you like to try?" "I don't know." He seemed to be calming himself, just being wrapped up in Patton's arms. "Is this helping?" Virgil slowly nodded, burying his face further into Patton's chest. "Sorry for ruining your date. I know you were super excited about it." Patton looked up at Remus, who just shrugged. "It's okay, Shadowling. I know that you weren't trying to hurt anything. Do you know why this happened?" Time was starting to pass normally. They hadn't looped. Virgil mumbled something. "Can you say that again? I couldn't hear you." "I'm in love with you and I'm jealous of Remus," Virgil shouted, pulling himself away, shoving his hands in his pockets. He tried to look like he didn't care, tried to act like it didn't bother him, but Patton could see right through it. "Good thing he loves you too." "What?" Virgil and Patton said in unison as they looked at Remus. "Wait, you hadn't figured it out yet?" Remus said, surprised. "Virgil's just your best friend, but you get that dazed, floaty look in your eyes when you talk about him, and you're generally so happy to see him. I thought you had already figured out you liked him when we talked about being poly because you looked like you had something in mind." "Wait, poly?" Patton blushed. "I think so. I mean, I'm certainly not opposed to the idea of a poly relationship, and Remus has taught me a lot about different dynamics and such." "So, in my insecurity, I was looping the world when I could have just talked to you. Sounds like it, Patton whispered. Virgil smacked his face, running his hand down it. All right, cool, great. And how do you feel about this? He asked Remus. I'm cool with it, though I'd like to finish our date now. Yeah, I think you can do that. I'm feeling better. Patton, do you want to talk about this when you get home? Patton nodded. That sounds good. They both looked at each other before they looked away to go their separate ways. The time loop was broken, and they would have to figure out how Virgil had a new power, but that was a problem for later. Thank you all for listening. Again, this was the last of what I have written for the Flip the Script series. I don't know if I'm maybe going to do more for it later, but for the time being, I hope you enjoyed this series. Thank you for joining me on it, and I hope you have a wonderful day.